I want to say a few words about the practice of mindfulness. Let's go back for a moment to the quiet sitting meditation. The normal experience of everyone in doing this practice is that they'll be sitting there, and after a little while, all of a sudden you have a little wake-up moment where you realize, wait a minute, I'm sitting here with my body, but my thoughts have been somewhere else. Maybe I'm worrying about other things I have to do today. Maybe I'm remembering some painful event. Maybe I'm remembering some pleasant event. Any number of things, many different things, many different kinds of thoughts, many different feelings arise. Maybe there's some sound that I find annoying that I'm focusing on, and they're not able to let go of the annoyance, the fretting, whatever it is. Those are wandering thoughts. When we're sitting in meditation, what we want to do is when we catch ourselves wandering in that way, just to return to the sitting. In actual fact, as soon as you've caught yourself, you've returned. So here's a very important point. One wants to keep on returning, keep coming back to just sitting there. Coming back to center is what it really is, to your spiritual center. So sometimes it may take a while to realize the extent to which that's what's happening. But at any rate, one wants to just come back to the sitting. And so here's a very important point. Don't add a slug. Don't add a mental slap. Oh, I blew it again, I got caught again. I got hijacked by those thoughts again. As soon as one notices that one's got hijacked by the thoughts, a term my master used to use, one is already back. So it's enough to just be back. It's enough to just be back sitting there. Just aware of sitting there. One is breathing, one's body is in this position. It's enough. Then, in a little while, sometimes in a very short while, one's hijacked again, down the road with some thought. One returns. One gets hijacked again. One returns. It isn't an awful sin to get hijacked by a thought. It's not a saintly act to be sitting there for a long period of time and never get hijacked by a single thought. No one is keeping score on this. There's nothing, no basis for judging, making judgments about good and bad here. Meditation, each time you do it, it's just what it is. The important thing is just to do it with a naive, upward-looking mind and heart. To do it with faith, with trust, that if one is drawn to do it by one's deep spiritual instinct, that it is good to do, and that regardless of how easy or difficult it is at any particular time to do it, that it is quietly doing its work. And I promise you that it is quietly doing its work, regardless of how we perceive what is going on. So, when the mind wanders, gently bring it back. When the mind wanders, gently bring it back. Don't slap, don't slug, don't punish, don't judge. Gently bring it back. And in the whole process, spiritually, look up, not down. One has to bring to this activity the naive mind of the child, a naive, trusting, open mind and heart. So when you bring the effort of doing this to other activities of daily life, then you are practicing what we call mindfulness. If one is sweeping the floor, just work at sweeping the floor. Don't be off doing something else, planning something else. If you find your mind has wandered, bring it back to just sweeping. If you're cleaning the toilet, just clean the toilet. If you're cooking a meal, just cook the meal. If you're going to sleep, just go to sleep. I see on the television now and then people expressing their pride that they can multitask. And I'm sure that there's many times when this is very helpful. But it won't necessarily be a big help to doing this. Before you can run, you need to be able to walk. Before you can walk, you need to be able to crawl. My master, when she first went to the monastery in Japan and trained with her master, the Very Reverend Kato Chi-san, he invited her in once to have tea with him, and he had a chessboard set up, and he said, "Can you play chess?" And she said, "Yes, I know how to play chess." And he said, "When you're playing chess, how many moves can you plan ahead?" She said, "Well, just 2 or 3. He said, "That's much better than me. I can only ever plan 1 move at a time." In this way, he was trying to show her the importance of staying fixed in the present moment with the present activity. Mindfulness pays big, big dividends. It is also at times very, very difficult to do. It is well worth working at. What we call the practice of mindfulness is very simply just bringing the mind and heart of meditation into our daily life. You notice that I so often say mind and heart, and so let me just say a brief word about this phrase that I'm using. As I mentioned in one of these earlier talks, we tend to have take a rather intellectual approach often to meditation. And we tend to think of meditation in terms of watching our thoughts, what's happening with our thoughts, and of course this is one aspect of it. But meditation is much more than that. From the more deeply spiritual point of view, meditation is a natural activity of our own Buddha nature, our own true nature. And what we call the practice of meditation is simply letting go of our efforts to do other things and joining in with, surrendering to, giving our willingness and our faith and our love, ultimately, to the natural activity of our own Buddha nature. Now, if we extend this view of meditation to what mindfulness is, it takes on aspects that are much more deeply spiritual than first might appear to be the case. When it's rightly understood, mindfulness is staying true throughout the twistings and turnings of ordinary daily life to something within ourselves that we long to stay true to. It is staying true to our own true self, our own true nature. So mindfulness might appear to begin with a practice of bringing one's attention back to the present moment. And indeed, there's always that aspect of it. And mindfulness, when it's rightly understood, embraces the fundamental spiritual issue of integrity. Being true to what we really are. Being true to our own capacity for enlightened action, enlightened living.